Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the GepRC Phantom HD Toothpick. HD in this case means the Caddx Vista with the Nebula camera. Has the GepRC all-in-one board that features a 20 amp ESC. GepRC 2.5-inch tri-blade props, powered by 1105 5000 kV motors. Motor post, I am getting right around 125 millimeters. Bottom carbon plate looks to be 2.5 millimeters thick. Arms are 6 millimeters wide. Top carbon fiber plate looks to be 1.5 millimeters thick. It weighs just over 99 grams. I flew it on these 450 milliamp 4S batteries from G&B, bringing the weight up to 151 grams. Comes with an extra set of props. Comes with some extra antenna tubes if you're not using the DJI controller, some foam for landing on, some screws, and an extra branded battery strap. Little sheet on the Vista, support card, and stickers. Look, they're blue. And one last thing, packet of silica gel. So with this having Vista, there's about 17 seconds of arm time that you're not going to see in the flight time. That's the time I use to sync my audio camera. That is a separate camera, not on the quad, that's sitting on the table. I do the little movie clap, and then off we go. And the thing that I like the most about this, and I think I'm guilty of doing it over and over again, is the punch outs. I was pretty surprised for a 2.5-inch prop at the power that it produced. Of course it is running 4S, so that's a little bit to be expected. But as far as 2S Vista digital quads go, this is the best performing that I've had. So if that's something you're looking for, and you're looking for a 2.5-inch, and you want to do DJI, if you're not already, that's the digital HD, then you might want to take a look at this, because right now this is the one that I think I enjoy the most. There are some downsides in the fact that we do have the Nebula camera, which isn't as good as the standard DJI camera, but that goes to saving weight. I think we save about 5 to 6.5 grams by going down to the Nebula camera. As you can see, we've done a couple punch outs. Now we're just going to go out around the yard. I cannot do this with an analog. I can get out there, but it's not going to be anywhere near this clear. So if you want to do some sort of cruising or exploratory type of flying, I really think if you enjoy that stuff and you have the funds, you might want to really look seriously at the digital stuff, the DJI stuff, the range, the control link. It's just really good. Do a little close pass by the chimney, and that's something I can only do when I have power to spare. If I think that power loop is going to be anywhere near close if I go full throttle in my typical timing, that's not something I cut nearly as close. Typically what I'll do is I'll see more of the sky as I try to make sure I clear that chimney, because of course I don't want to land on the roof. I have a little bit of a problem with heights, and I'm not getting up there. Of course, we can use turtle mode. I always caution everyone, be careful about all-in-one boards and using turtle mode. That is a risk. I think it's a recovery risk. You go ahead and use it when you can't possibly get to your quad. Otherwise, you need to probably just take the time to go retrieve your quad rather than using turtle mode. Or otherwise, even if you're upright, taking off when you have an obstructed prop or you're stuck in a tree or something like that. The other thing you may notice is that we're looking at the ground an awful lot, and that has to do with the camera angle that I'm used to flying at. We can get it, but there's a little bit of a catch, and I wanted to leave this in place to make sure I mentioned it so that you can expect it. I do think we can overcome it though, and we'll mention that down at the desk. You see we've landed, and our flight time comes in right around the 3-minute mark. Let's start right off with that limited camera. You can see the camera angle that I'm flying with, or that I have been flying with in this particular case. And you can see, hopefully, we've got a little room right down here. It's kind of hard to see with the carbon and the lighting, but we do have some more angle available to us. But you'll also notice that the wiring between the Nebula camera and the Vista is below that. And I think they actually use the camera angle as a place to kind of tuck that away to make sure this wire doesn't come out, because you can see that there's potential that if that were to come out this way, it could catch a prop. So if you're like me and you fly typically with more camera angle, or you just want more camera angle, I think we need to kind of take the top off, take the camera out, shorten this up by putting some additional tape to shorten the length, and then remount the camera, and I think that'll put us where we want to be. So I suspect you can get another 10 to maybe even 15 degrees out of the camera. And if you're interested in me showing that, please let me know. I do plan to modify this shortly after this video and then take it out some more flights, because this is one I expect to fly more. You can cruise with it, just simply lowering your camera angle, doing that exploratory flight, which I enjoy as well. Or if you're looking to get a particular shot of a scene, you can do the sin whoopy type of things that you can do with sin whoops in this, but you also get some good power as far as the punch outs and performance. I think its cornering ability is as expected with a 2.5-inch prop coming in at 100 grams. I wasn't surprised by that. I didn't have any great disappointment. It's just one of those limitations of adding the weight of the Vista and having a 2.5-inch prop. You can see we've got a capacitor there on the back. It's a 35 volt, 220 microfarad capacitor. Seems to be doing its job fairly well. And they've used my favorite tape to secure the motor wires down. So I approve of that, as you would know if you visit the channel very regularly. One thing I don't approve of is I don't mind this kind of holder for the battery lead. Let me zoom out. But I do wish they had secured the battery lead, because I think they have that capability right down here. What I would do is just kind of shorten this a little bit. Not shorten it as in physically shorten it, just push it down here a little bit, and then I would run a zip tie through one of those slots, loop it around the battery lead, and secure it down. That way, if you do have a battery ejection, we're not pulling hard on it. The battery ejection potential should be relatively low, but you know, crashes are always different from person to person. You see we have a nice thick battery strap here, Velcro as standard, and then we have a rubber mat that has been custom cut for the top of this frame. So you can see we got the GepRC logo out there. We got the quad name as well as HD FPV right there on the carbon fiber. Also, while we're looking at the top, the Vista unit is mounted to the top plate, so the thickness of that top plate is important. We don't have any support outside of the standoff at the rear and the carbon fiber plates up here for the camera, as well as those standoffs. But I don't find, let me give it a good squeeze here, that carbon's pretty rigid. And you do see that this nut is coming down on a USB. So maybe in the hardest of crashes, well, I don't know if it has enough weight, but there's some outside potential there that maybe the damage that you would get would be that your USB port could get damaged slightly. But, you know, this is rubber mounted still down here, so the board should give a little bit. So I think the potential is very, very low, but I've mentioned it just because it is there. I mentioned the stiffness of the carbon when I was pressing the top, so let's look at this stiffness. Yeah, it's pretty stiff for having those thin arms on there, as we expect. I think many people have been flying the standard version of this and have not had any troubles. I think they increased the thickness of the bottom plate for the HD version, though. Double check me on that. I'm not certain of that at the time of this recording. I haven't pulled out the Phantom, if I even still have it, the original that was analog, to see if it's different than this. But I do think that this is a pretty rigid frame, and it looks to be pretty good carbon. I'm not much for looking at the weave because, well, the weave doesn't mean much. It's kind of like wallpaper on your wall. You can't tell what kind of paint job is underneath the wallpaper until you pull the wallpaper off. So there's a look at the weave for anybody who would like to look at the weave. It does look like it's cut straight down the arms. As we're looking at the bottom of it here, you can also tell that if you wanted to build, you could build with a 16x16 stack, but I don't think if you're using a 16x16, you're going to get the Caddx Vista in there unless you do something wonky with the camera mounting as well as the standoffs. You'll have to change those out as well. I did have one pretty tremendous crash. Unfortunately, as we see here at the end, when I get to the tail end, you don't actually see it make impact in my neighbor's yard, my new neighbor's yard. I don't know what I was doing. I just kind of forgot what I was doing, I think. It's just really strange for me to see something like that, but I guess that's kind of crashing as it is. But I kind of noticed that I've done something wonky. I try to kind of power up, I get tangled up in a tree, and I start tumbling and spinning, and then I disarm and I land in my neighbor's yard. Those of you that follow the channel regularly know that I have new neighbors. Gary and Diane moved out. The new neighbors have moved in. You're probably wondering why I don't mention them by name. We're still getting to know each other, and I did crash, and he has his new fence up for his dogs, and I went over, rang the bell, let him know that I had crashed one of my toys in the backyard. He was kind enough to let me back in. I mentioned this in the comment. He said that he might padlock the gate to get in just to make sure water meter readers or anyone coming and going doesn't accidentally leave the gate open when their dogs are back there. So he said, I'll have to get you a key. So I think he's pretty cool with the fact that I fly, and sometimes mistakes happen and I might crash in his yard. So we'll see, you know, just trying to be respectful, gain some familiarity with each other. I'm excited to meet and talk to them more. They're a little bit older couple. Their kids are grown and out of the house. But this is the GepRC Phantom HD toothpick. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And as I said in the video, this is something that I think is, well, pretty diverse really for a 2.5-inch quad. It does come in at a fairly heavy price point, as most of the HD or DJI sort of quads do, at $279. Of course, you have coupon codes you can always use on Banggood to get that price down. Usually you can save about 10% using the coupon code BGTOYS10, I think it is. I'll put the coupon code in the link in the video description down below. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comments section below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.